So now let's understand what happened. So these alpha particles, they can penetrate through matter to some extent, which is why basically they can penetrate through matter to some extent. So now let's see what happened. So Rutherford did this experiment of his, right? So he noticed that most of these rays passed through the gold foil, and they were, they created this scintillating effect on the zinc sulfide screen. So he noticed, so he made some observations through that experiment. He noticed that the atom was mostly hollow. So most of the alpha particles passed undeviated. Most of the alpha particles, they went straight through the gold foil. They were not deviated their path. Their path was completely straight. So if atoms were solid, then every particle striking them should have changed its path. Now look at this diagram on the right hand side, this animation over here. If I have marbles being dropped from the top on a surface, on a dome-like surface, what will happen to these marbles? Those marbles will hit the surface and they will all fall in different directions, right? But what was happening in the case of a gold foil was these alpha particles, most of them were passing straight through the gold foil, straight through it. That means what? That is only possible if most of this is hollow, right? It is only possible if there is no surface over here. If most of the surface is hollow, only then it will pass straight. So then he concluded that since most of these alpha particles passed undeviated, that means the atom is hollow. Okay, so if atoms were solid, then every striking alpha particle should have changed its path and got deflected, but that did not happen, so that means it is hollow. Now, okay, now let's see what was the second observation. Second observation was the discovery of nucleus. He noticed that very few alpha particles, or close to 1 in 20,000. So 1 in 20,000 alpha particles were deflected back. So most of the alpha particles passed through, but 1 in 20,000 of them deflected back. So the backward deflection is possible only when the alpha particle is hitting something hard. That means if you notice that the particles that hit this region will go back up. Okay, so they will bounce back straight up. So that means that is only possible when the alpha particle is hitting something hard, rigid and dense. So the composition of nucleus. Some alpha particles were deflected sideways. Just like in this, you can see if I drop the marbles from top, some marbles are deflected to the sideways, right? They are deflected sideways. So some alpha particles were deflected sideways. Sideway deflection is possible because of repulsion only. Repulsion occurs between like charges. So he inferred that nucleus should also have a positive charge. Remember, alpha particles have positive charge, right? Alpha particles have positive charge. That means if there is repulsion, that means the nucleus should also have positive charge. Now, arrangement of electrons. Electrons revolve around the nucleus just like the planets revolve around the sun. Okay, so this is the structure of an atom. The structure of an atom currently known to us, this is what it looks like. It looks like a nucleus in the center with protons and neutrons and electrons revolving around the nucleus just like planets revolve around the sun. You guys understand? Any doubts? If you want me to repeat, please let me know. I have no issues doing that.
So ma'am, it means that the alpha particles passed through the atom, but
yes,
they deflected from the nucleus. So it means that the sphere is hollow, but the nucleus and the protons and electrons are not hollow.
So electrons and protons are not hollow, nucleus is not hollow, but most of the atom itself is very hollow. Okay. So let me draw this one more time. So if over here I've drawn the structure of an atom, right? So see. So if I draw the structure of any atom, That atom will have a nucleus. Inside the nucleus, there will be protons and neutrons. And around that, there will be electrons revolving around the nucleus. So if you notice that if I say what is an atom, I will say this whole thing is an atom, right? But if I look at this diagram, this whole thing is an atom, I know. But inside this atom, there is so much empty space, right? This all this is an empty space. Only this nucleus is not empty. It is very, very dense. Electrons are not empty, obviously, because those are particles. But the space between the orbit of the electrons and the nucleus, all that is completely empty. Okay, did you guys understand?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, good. All right, so this is basically atomic structure. Okay, so now we'll cover the last part of the atomic structure and then we'll be done with this chapter, guys. But yeah, anyway, so we need to know about the postulates or assumptions of Bohr's atomic model. So Bohr's atomic model is basically, I'll tell you, hold on. So before that, I need to tell you this is why this model is also called a solar model, because it is just like how it is in our solar system. It is also called planetary model because it's like how planets revolve around the sun. So when somebody asks you what is Rutherford's model or nucleus model or planetary model, nuclear model or planetary model or solar model, they're all the same thing and you need to write the same thing. Okay. Why is it called a nuclear model? Because this model takes into account that there is a nucleus inside the atom. Okay. All right. So now